Hello, hope y'all are doing well. It's February 13th. Today I'm back, of course. So today I'm going to be talking about a couple of upcoming winter storms that we're going to be looking at across areas of the north central U.S., all the way down into the central U.S., and then over into the areas like the Midwest and stuff. We're going to be talking about that. Then I'm also going to be looking at severe weather. We have an upcoming severe weather event later this week, and I'm going to discuss that as well. Hope y'all are all having a good Monday. But let's go ahead and get started with the video. So this is what we're looking at now, relatively like quiet pattern across the majority of the U.S. With the exception of the West, you have a couple of disturbances in the West. You have one affecting mainly the Northwest right now, as we can see some higher elevation snowfall. And in the Southwest, we have an upper level low. We have a lot of mountain snow as well, and just a lot of precip across areas of Arizona, New Mexico, and southwestern Colorado. East and the central U.S. though is fairly quiet, as we can see. But as you go throughout tonight, we can see we have a low ejecting through the southern plains, starting to look at some rain across areas of Oklahoma and Texas. There, let me pull this up, switch over here. Yeah, so we can see that rainfall, and then but tomorrow morning we could be looking at some snow entering areas of the Oklahoma Panhandle, areas of the far like northwestern portion of the Texas Panhandle as well. Uh, and then as we go throughout tomorrow, by tomorrow evening we start to see our snow begin across portions of the northern plains. So I want to go ahead and zoom in on that area. So you can see quickly as that rain moves in, which also we could be looking at the severe weather threat just south of this, down into areas further south, like in Kansas, Missouri, and we'll talk about that closer towards the end of the video. But right as this precip moves in, we have that cold air mass. Temperatures at 21 Z tomorrow are fairly cold. We can see temperatures mainly below freezing across most of North Dakota, with maybe some areas getting up above 32, up to like 34. And then into South Dakota, I think this is pretty much where we have snow cover. We're seeing colder temperatures here. Trying to see, is there a snow depth option? No, but I don't know off the top of my head like where we have snowfall or snow cover right now. But some areas could be like well into the 40s tomorrow in South Dakota. But then other areas, I'm assuming if you have snow on the ground, it's much colder. And so in cold air is pretty much in place. And as we go quickly throughout the night, we can see that sinks south and east. Wednesday morning is very cold. Across North Dakota, we can see negatives across the northern portion of the state, single digits for most of like northern South Dakota, and then teens for most of the southern part of the state. So very cold in that area. And then back to precipitation, we can see that snow just slowly eats into like the rain, and we can see how it turns over to like kind of this like the turnover just quickly shifts south and east, even maybe picking up on a little bit of snow in Minneapolis, maybe not much. But mainly like west and north, we could be looking at some accumulations. That could be pretty high, actually. And this is pretty much completely gone from the area. We're looking at our next system by Wednesday afternoon. But total snowfall, I'll pull that up here. Yeah, so total snowfall, we're looking at a pretty sizable winter storm. Minneapolis area generally a little bit less than an inch. But then as you go northwest, we can see you go up to about an inch. And as you get into like central Minnesota, a good couple of inches, 2 to 4 inches, with some pockets of more than 6 inches across northern Minnesota, and even down into areas in northeastern South Dakota and southeastern North Dakota. We also have snow in this area. That's pretty significant snowfall accumulations over there as well. So that's that first system. That's pretty much all I want to talk about with that. Now I want to move a little further south to the south central U.S. and I want to talk about this next system. So we can see this is Wednesday afternoon. We'd have some what looks to be a front kind of slowly pushing south and east of snow behind it. Looks like we have low kind of getting ready to get its act together across the plains. We're looking at some light to moderate snowfall for a good portion of western Kansas, Oklahoma Panhandle, and moving into the Texas Panhandle. Temperatures Wednesday afternoon are very, like, there's a sharp cutoff. Like Amarillo's in the 50s. But then as you go north and west, you have that snow or below freezing quickly into or into the teens and the 20s. So pretty cool there. And I mean Dallas, the Dallas area is around 70, or in the upper 60s. I mean most of Texas is fairly warm with the exception of that area. Uh, so yeah, and then we're gonna see. So with this next system, we're gonna be looking at this threat for severe weather. Of course, in the south, like the general area of the south, but I mean getting all the way up into areas like Missouri, and then further north, we're gonna be looking at that winter weather threat. So let's go ahead and switch over to a model that goes out a little further. We'll take a look at the NAM 12. Then there is some differences I want to talk about, some key differences with this. We see that snow like Wednesday night moving through Kansas, pockets of snowfall, and then into Missouri, and then into the Midwest. And the NAM doesn't indicate really like an impactful storm system, or like a lot of like an impactful like snowfall event. Take a look at snowfall totals. I mean, we're looking at like 2 to 3 inches, maybe 4 inches as you get over in Illinois. But like if you go over to the GFS is a much more significant winter storm. If I can shift a little further north here, this will work here. Yeah, we can see the peak just goes right through Madison, up into like central, like east central Wisconsin, up into northern Michigan. I mean, we're looking at like a pretty big swath of more than a foot of snow, or like about a foot of snow to more than a foot of snow. The European, if I can actually click on it, is fairly similar as well. We look at a little bit less though as you get further south, but it actually I think the peak is a little further south as well, right over Madison, with about 8-9 inches of snow. Down into Des Moines is about 7. So still some pretty significant snowfall accumulations over on the European. The NAM though is just not going. We just don't have a lot of moisture. I mean everything is just broken up with the NAM snowfall wise. So this event really starts to get going once like Wednesday night. So I'll try to get a video out before that with some key differences. Right now I'm kind of thinking the GFS and the Euro could be on this one. I just don't think. I mean the NAM. This is completely different, but I know the NAM just did an absolutely terrible job with the handling the southeast winter storm. No, really not a winter storm, but what could have been a winter storm. The GFS and the NAM did a very poor job originally at handling that, and then it just like immediately shifted. Although the NAM already shows barely any snow, so I mean, I don't think it's gonna be the same case where we just see it automatically or just completely disappear. But I don't trust the NAM, and I really don't trust the GFS. I'd say the Euro is probably a good middle option here. Snowfall wise. Okay, so now I want to take a look at severe weather, the severe weather side of things. So that's kind of the next biggest thing. So we have a marginal risk tomorrow for areas of eastern Kansas, northwest Missouri, areas of like far southeastern Nebraska, far southwest Iowa. We can see we have a 2% total risk, 5% wind, and a 5% hail threat. So we have like a very low risk for pretty much all threats. Dew points tomorrow. So we have our low pressure system up in Nebraska right here. We have a cold front stretching like this. We don't have a lot of moisture. I mean, these 50-degree dew points are barely stretching up into like central Missouri there. And most of this area here, we're looking at 40s for dews. We can see, like north of Kansas City, we're looking at like mid to upper 40s. So we don't have a lot of moisture, but I mean, with these types of systems where you see like right along the low, you can see severe weather. We take a sounding that's not that good. Let's just take a look at some general stuff here. We have some very isolated and like very minimal instability across this area of Kansas, northwest Missouri, and southwest Iowa. About 200 to 300 joules of mixed layer CAPE. So, like I said, very, very minimal amounts. If we take a look at reflectivity, though, we can just try to take some soundings. So, I wouldn't be surprised. This definitely looks like the type of event we just see some random back-end supercells. Or not really back-end, but right along that low that produce brief tornadoes. Which, the shear is not the best either with this event, to be honest. But if we can see a little bit more like moisture and stuff get into the area, a little bit more instability, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something. It's hard to kind of forecast these types of events. You just gotta look at like the general stuff regarding it. But yeah, so I mean, definitely possible. I mean, I'd say the main threats are probably tornadoes and some smaller hail. With that, but yeah. So also we could be looking at a squall line maybe, according to the HRRR. But don't want to focus on that. So then the next day with severe weather is Wednesday, and we're looking at a pretty big slight risk all the way from northeastern Texas, way up into western Kentucky. Cities in that we got Memphis, we got Little Rock, kind of areas of the Dallas-Fort Worth metro, but not Dallas-Fort Worth like themselves, like completely. We have Shreveport, Texarkana, and Jonesboro is in this as well, but not really a big city. But yeah, so that big slight risk. We shift over to the south central U.S. here. And I want to go back to dew points. We do actually have like a good bit of moisture across this area tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I don't think they'll add a marginal risk in just because we lack everything other than moisture in this area. We don't have much instability at all because I mean this is happening in the early morning hours. Pre's, I'm kind of curious what the HRRR actually has. So just kind of like a garbage squall line. Okay. I mean, maybe we could see like a little bit of a damaging, like a marginal for a damaging wind threat in that area, but I don't think it's like a bit. Wednesday's the day we want to watch. We take a look at one issue with this is this front tomorrow pushes out the moisture from most of this area, and then when we're kind of just counting on it to get back in place by Wednesday afternoon. That's kind of the thing. So this is as far out as the HRRR goes. 48 hours. We're looking at Wednesday afternoon. We can see we have the 60-degree dew points stretching into a good portion of Texas. Even some dew points approaching 70 along the coast of southeast Texas and like the Houston area, Galveston area, well into the 60s in areas of central Louisiana and areas like southern Mississippi. And then, so yeah, I mean, already with this sounding here, that's not that bad. We have plenty of instability, a little bit of a dry pocket around 600 millibars there. It's pretty interesting, but definitely not a bad sound. I'm curious what the HRRR already has storms going off at that time. Okay, no, it doesn't. So that'd be good if we don't see any storms going off, because we'll really have that instability building up. Now over to the NAM3, because the NAM3 does go out further. It literally indicates no storms, practically, but we can also take soundings, and that is very different than the HRRR. Okay. Let's take a look at instability and let's see if we have. Okay, yeah. So I don't think we don't get much instability in until later. Okay, so the NAM3 has like later. Everything coming into the night, which could be an issue though. We take a look at like 58. Like go to lock it down hour 58 here, 04Z. Take a look at like mixed layers CIN. We have a large amount of capping across much of these areas, but wherever we don't see, wherever we don't see these pockets of capping, okay, I don't know why I said that. Wherever we see pockets of like less capping is where we can pretty much see storms get off, and we can eventually see everything kind of go downhill after that. But the thing is, if this capping kind of keeps everything from forming, we don't get in these storms. I mean, it'll be an issue, and that'll mean this event will definitely not do a whole lot. So that's one of the main issues with this event, is is capping pretty much. And also like really when we get our instability, really our moisture instability and stuff into the south central plains and everything starts to kind of get into place, is kind of a little uncertain at this time, because the NAM3 has a much later into the night, which would lower the severe weather threat because you lose that daytime heating. And since it's still February, we still have like relatively short amounts of daylight. I mean, we're not going to see the instability like last well into the evening. Now on Thursday, we'll take a look at Thursday real quick, and gonna go national for this. It's a Thursday. We see that low way up in the way up in the Great Lakes states. Where it seems to be right around Ohio. We have a nice cold front stretching down across the southeast, which pretty much like we have dews in the 60s all the way up until like Kentucky. So pretty far north for this time of year. But then along this front, really what I'm worried about is I'm thinking damaging wind is probably going to be our main threat. Take a look at 850 millibar winds. We have just a lot of wind with this system, especially in the upper levels. And with those storms across like this area here, I think that'll help that wind really make it to the ground and could lead to some pretty significant damaging winds. Probably extending all the way down into like areas of Tennessee and Alabama, Mississippi, maybe northwest Georgia as well. But as we see, as it gets a little further east, we start to lose a little bit of that strength. But definitely still a severe weather threat. I'd say continuing into the southeast Thursday night. Much lower though. I think the severe weather threat Thursday. I mean, really Thursday, like this area here kind of catches my eye. I want to zoom in on that area and discuss this a little bit. So 500 millibar wind wise, we're looking at pretty decent looking little piece of energy here. Definitely setting up this area for severe weather. We just take a look at mixed layer cape, basic stuff. We have instability in most of this area. I mean, of course, as you go further south, like which is normal this time of year, you see more instability down in Mississippi. Like the NAM indicates, 1,000 joules of cape, so it's not that bad. I mean, just some other stuff like SB. I mean, take a look at some photographs, although this is a couple days out, so I don't want to focus on them too much. I mean, they don't look good. They definitely don't look good, but you could. I mean, this is definitely not bad. When you go further south and like into the also once you get into like Dixie and stuff, you do start to see the Hodo's looking better. But I say the tornado threat would probably be higher down across this area here. But then as you go further north, we could see that damaging wind threat increase with any storm that we actually see. If we can see some strong storms and like throughout this area of Kentucky. Here, I'll go and give like a little bit of a better outline, mainly this area, but then that'll also continue further south, potentially as well. So yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back probably tomorrow. But yes, goodbye.